A whopping 15 women's NCAA head coaches, 15 of the Sweet 16, were asked a simple question, and they dodged it. A simple question on if men, biological males, should be allowed to participate in women's sports. Simple question, one that I can't even believe that we're asking. If you really think about it, 10 years ago, you'd have said, what are you talking about? It's a dumb question. It's never going to happen. So the way I look at it is moving forward, it is, well, what else is a dumb question right now that's never going to happen, that's going to end up happening within 5 years? Is a transgender male going to take the place of one of these women coaches, and all the bitch and whine and moaning that would occur if that happened? Is a team going to load up on transgender males and beat the living hell out of everybody in women's NCAA college basketball? Oh, the bitch and whine and moaning. If that would happen, could you imagine? Could you imagine a team of dudes coming out there for UConn or for Southern Illinois and running through UConn and Iowa and Tennessee and LSU and USC? Can you imagine Dawn Staley's reaction? I don't think it would be, this is a good thing for women's sports. I don't think it would be, hey, if you feel like being a woman, then go ahead and play, which is exactly what Dawn Staley said. I don't think it would be that response, and it's coming. You make no mistake, there's going to be a smart college basketball women's coach out there that's going to say, screw this. There's a lot of money in women's college basketball coaching now, and the money's only going to get greater. This is my best chance at making $1 million, $2 million, whatever it is a year. So I'm going to load myself up on some bearded women. I'm going to be like the county fair. Hey, see the bearded women? I'm going to run through USC, Southern Cal. I'm going to run through these teams. But the women currently that are the 16 best, at least in the NCAA tournament this year, all have no reaction to a woman. Now, you got to understand, everybody bitched, whined, and moaned. You're going to see their responses right there. Everybody bitched, whined, and moaned when Danny Z asked a simple question of Dawn Staley on an off day, on a day when women's basketball was being talked about. And Danny Z asked a question that is going to be the most pressing question within the next calendar year to women's athletics. It already is. We've already seen our Riley Gaines have to deal with a dude full junk in the locker room that the NCAA used as a damn photo op and given him, whatever, the 5th place trophy. It's already coming. Not one of these chicken shit women and men that coached in the NCAA Sweet 16 had the to stand up and say, hell no, and I'll tell you why. I'm big on why. Why? Well, it's simple. They're making too much money. All of these women and men right now are making too much money. Coach Payne will respectfully decline. She's been recruiting. Oh, shut up. Oh, just shut up. Yeah, man, I don't think dudes should play with women. That's what I don't think. I think dudes should play against men. I think everybody transitioning should play against the men. Wouldn't it be smart if old Wes Moore of North Carolina State or our chicken blank Terry Moron of Indiana, wouldn't it be great if one of them had the to say that, hey, look, I think everybody should play. I do. I think it's important that we're inclusive in college athletics, and I think, Terry Moore, I'm giving you the out right now, I think everybody should play against the men. I do. I think that's inclusive. I think everybody gets the opportunity to go play against the men. That covers you. That gives you cover. But these women and men are too stupid. They're coaches. I mean, when I was in the world of coaching, I would marvel at the stupidity of great coaches. I also would marvel at the intelligence of some, too. But the women of women's college basketball, the coaches of women's college basketball have been corrupted. They've been corrupted by money. They're making a lot of money now. They used to not make any money. And women like Carol Hutchins, the softball coach, at Michigan, used to stand up. Used to stand up for women's rights. Women all across the country used to stand up for one another. They used to stand on principle. They used to say, we're going to fight. And it wasn't that long ago that my wife actually had to leave, I've told this before, the state of Ohio and go to Michigan to play softball. Why? They didn't even have softball in the state of Ohio. They didn't. They had baseball. They had basketball. They didn't have softball. So they went across the border, Family found an house and worked out great for everybody, including the school, including Lee, including her mom and dad, her brother, everybody, because they found a great piece of property that's still there and the brother still lives there. But that's the world that we used to live in. Now women are given all the things that men, including money. And the coaches don't want to even for a second, not even an instant, put that in jeopardy. And they're smart. I mean, the LGBTQ, A, B, C, D, whatever the hell it is, community would turn on them if they said no. I don't think that adult males, fully packaged, should play in women's college basketball against women. I think they should play against men. That might end their career. But would it really? Or would it make them heroes? Would it make them, you know what? I can get behind that woman. I want my daughter to play for that woman. I don't want anybody in the locker room with my daughter that is an adult male changing with my daughter like Riley Gaines and her teammates or her competitors at the NCAA championships had to do with Leah Thomas. I don't want my daughter in a locker room with a woman as a coach that doesn't have the stones to stand up and say, you know what? We fought too hard for women's sports. We've already lost 100 spots in women's sports. 100. 100's nothing to sneeze at. There are 100 transgender athletes participating in women's sports right now. Men that are transitioning to women, women transitioning to men. 100. That's 100 less spots for women in women's sports. Doesn't it sound remarkably stupid? But if I'm a dad, and I am, have a daughter, and I do, I would be like, Coach, why are you so afraid of this issue? Are you going to recruit a dude? No, I would never do that. Then why don't you stand on it? How do we know if you're not going to be public about it? Terry Moron, are you going to recruit a dude to Indiana University women's basketball and have them in your locker, like is the rules, and compete for playing time with my daughter and have to have my daughter subjected to a dude changing in a locker room? Are you going to do that? No. I'd never do that. Well, why don't you say that publicly? I don't understand where dads haven't stood up in this. I don't understand where dads haven't gone, wait a second here. I want to know, Coach. I mean, Coach Bluter, whoever the hell you are at Iowa, you go back to your anonymous status after Caitlin Clark leaves. You've had a big platform right here. You had a massive platform. Caitlin Clark's gone, Coach. Are you going to bring in a dude? I mean, it's an easy question. It's a simple question. And then when the coach answers yes, why don't you say that publicly? Oh, I do know. I do. Because, well, money talks, bullshit walks. But look at this list. And this list is fascinating. These are the exact answers from the coaches. And you could tell who the big timers were. The big timers. Like Lisa Gottlieb, not a big timer. We'll decline to comment. Vic Schaefer's a big time guy. Oh, we'll pass on this one. Kara Lawson is the smartest person in the room in Kara Lawson's mind. We will respectfully decline to comment. Yeah, okay. We'll pass on this one. Oh, Vic Schaefer. Vic's been around a long time. Vic's all down there in Texas. He's at Texas A&M. Hell, he won him a championship. Old Vic did. Vic's old blood and guts. Vic's old, I'm Vic Schaefer. Now, who the fuck is Vic Schaefer? What the hell's a Vic Schaefer? Nah, we'll pass. Really? Why? Would you pass if a mom or dad asked? Where are you moms at? I talked about the dads. I always feel like dads, myself included, are here to protect their daughters. It's funny. A few years ago, we moved out here. We had a moving company that stole from us. Somebody stole from my daughter. The moving company stole from my stepdaughter. At the same time, my daughter immediately called me, and my stepdaughter immediately called her dad. Dads are here to protect, but moms are here for common sense. Nicole Ivy, she's big time. My son plays bad basketball. I do not respond. I don't respond. See, the big timers didn't respond. Didn't even respond because, well, it's beneath Terry Moron. I mean, hell, She keeps getting her ass beat in the NCAA tournament, but it's beneath Terry Moron. But anyway, because she's the coach at Indiana, and she lost to little girls putting their finger in their mouth as a 1 seed at home. But it's beneath her. Where are the moms? I mean, I see mommies in college basketball, women's college basketball, all over the internet. We got a girl here, Parrish. Sydney Parrish. I really like her dad. I've known her dad for 100 years. Her mommy's all over social media. Where's she in this? Why isn't she standing up? Do you think it's not coming? It's already in the NCAA. It's already in the NCAA swimming finals. Do you think it's not coming? But it's all about that cash, all about that greenery. And it's all about coaches that are reaping the benefits of women like Carol Hutchins and others that stood up, took the abuse, stood strong, went in front of Congress, went in front of 1 million different boards in the NCAA to fight for more scholarships, to fight for more gym time, to fight for more practice fields, to fight for better facilities, to fight for anything that they could get because, frankly, they were given crumbs back in the day. Crumbs. I'll tell you a story. I'm not sure what year this is. It had to be late 80s. Late 80s, maybe early 90s, maybe. Coach Knight and I were going to work a player out, one of our players in Assembly Hall. He walks in, he and I, with the player. The volleyball team is practicing at Assembly Hall. Coach Knight doesn't say a word, but he's fuming because we can't work out on the court. We didn't have a practice facility. Coach Knight turns around, doesn't say a word, goes up to his office, closes the door. He closes the door, makes a call to the athletic director. The next day, the volleyball team was practicing at a middle school where they now have built a really nice facility. I think they used to play, I don't know if they still do, on like 17th Street. Way the hell out there. The next day, the volleyball team was out of there. Period. That's what used to happen in women's sports, volleyball being women. It wasn't a men's team. But a lot of women fought, a lot of women battled, a lot of women raised money. And these women now, they are strictly, or these coaches now, I keep saying women, these coaches now are straight cowards. And good for Danny Z. Danny Z did what you asked. He waited. You're supposed to wait. There's an appropriate time. I'll answer that question. Lisa Bluter said, the coach at Iowa, who became something because she had Caitlin Clark. There's an appropriate time, and I'll answer that question. Well, Danny Z waited till after the WNBA draft, waited till things settled down, and not one could answer the question. Not even, yeah, I think so. Not even mumble, stumble, and fumble around like that clown Don Staley did. Not even that. Couldn't do it. It's amazing. It's not amazing. It's not surprising. Money absolutely corrupts. Reggie Bush got his Heisman back. And all the cool kids are saying this is great. All the cool kids are saying, well, you know, this is awesome. Chris Long, who was a lineman, says, who's going to zigzag or zig or zag or whatever on Reggie Bush getting his Heisman back? Me. I will. What's so great about it? I mean, I'll hang up and listen. What's so great about it? Reggie Bush knowingly, willingly cheated. Reggie Bush knowingly, willingly, is proven, took money, a house, the whole family, cheated his brains out, circumvented all of the rules of the NCAA at that time. He did. Reasonable punishment was what? What are you going to do? They said, look, you were an ineligible player. Ineligible player. We're going to take your Heisman Trophy away. Seems reasonable to me. What else are they going to do? They can't take away, although they did, wins from Reggie Bush. They took away wins from USC. Pete Carroll skedaddled. I mean, he went, he took off like it was his job, and it was. He took off to the NFL. But Reggie Bush got his Heisman taken away. And all the cool kids are, well, this is the greatest day. Why? Why is this the greatest day? Because the guy that cheated is now living in a world where cheating doesn't matter, where we can just do whatever we want to do. Well, I don't think it's something to be celebrated. I don't think a wrong has been righted. There's not a chance in holy hell I would have given this Heisman back. I'd have said tough. Tough. Reggie Bush is acting, and his people and the response after are acting like somehow, some way, Reggie Bush is some kind of victim. Oh, Reggie's a victim here. Really? What's he a victim of? I'll hang up and listen. He's a victim of the mean NCAA. No, he's a victim of nothing. He signed up, like all of us did, to go to college on a scholarship. His was football. Mine was basketball. And when you do that, you have numerous, and I mean numerous, meetings, evaluations, actually, instruction on NCAA rules. And the number one thing is don't take money back in the day. You know what? Just don't take money. Reggie Bush knew the rules. USC knew the rules. The booster knew the rules. Hell, all you got to do is watch Blue Chips back in the day based on a combination of Bob Knight and John Wooden. Everybody knew the rules. Not like you didn't. And Reggie Bush and his people went out of their way to circumvent the rules. 2005, Dems were the rules. Well, guess what? There's no victim there. The victim, you could actually say, are the other teams in the Pac-12. They didn't cheat. If they knew Reggie was for sale, maybe like now, they would have come up with, I don't know, a better deal. But they cheated. It is not, ladies and gentlemen, a victimless crime. Reggie Bush went to USC because they cheated. I'll make that argument. You could say he'd have gone anyway. You could say they didn't give him anything before he went there, but you're full of crap. What about the other teams that did it right? What about the other schools that didn't cheat? What about the other schools that sent mailings and made phone calls and went to see Reggie Bush and had home visits, but they didn't give him the $7,500 or the $750,000. They didn't give him the house, the car. You know, Pete Carroll won a lot of games with those clowns by turning a blind eye as Reggie Bush drove a wonderfully expensive car to practice. Hell, I knew when a player got a tattoo. People say, well, how would he know? What do you mean, how would he know? He don't give a rat's ass what the backup guard does, but you sure as hell knew what Leinart and White and Bush were doing. What are you, crazy? What are you, out of your mind? That's simple. So they were all cheating. And you know what I've always said? It pays to cheat in college basketball. It pays big time to cheat in college basketball. And you're seeing it once again. Reggie Bush somehow, some way, went from a big-time cheat, the most egregious cheating possible, home out there where all his peeps were living, that obviously they couldn't afford, car driving around, money thrown around. Somehow, he became a victim. And victim enough that the NCAA said, yes, I know, but we're giving it back and we're going to celebrate it. Awesome. I know I'm pissing in the wind here. I understand, but I don't care. I mean, somebody got to stand for a little bit of integrity in a little bit of sports, right? I mean, so if I got caught going 60 in a 55 and they raised the speed limit to 65 a year later, do I get to go back and say, hey, wait a second. You raised the speed limit. Mine wasn't speeding now. I want my money back. Hell no. But we lower standards in everything. And as I've always said and will always say, when you raise standards, people will meet them. When you lower standards, people will meet them. Standards are so low right now that the Heisman Trophy Foundation, the trust, went right down in the hole with them. Why? Because Reggie's a victim. Reggie's no victim. Reggie Bush is a cheat. And a bad one at that. Speaking of weirdos, and Reggie Bush is a weirdo, by the way, Keith Olbermann, that dude's out of his collective mind. Now, Keith Olbermann's that guy that's like Greg Doyle. He's in the bushes. By the way, Greg Doyle took a shot at me and us the other day. He's in the bushes. We're glad you're here. That's what Keith Olbermann does. I'm Keith Olbermann. I'm waiting for somebody to say something, and then I'm going to pounce in my weird Greg Doyle, Keith Olbermann voice, which is very creepy, by the way, because they're both very, very creepy. But anyway, Olbermann is mad. That's right. And when Keith Olbermann gets mad, damn it, The NCAA has to get an ultimatum. That's right, I said it. Keith Olbermann's upset. He's offering ESPN an ultimatum. Silence Stephen A. Smith or fire him, damn it. That's right. Olbermann's mad. Why ESPN must either silence or fire Stephen A. Smith. It's long-standing policy. No. Can't be a sportscaster on one station and an advocate for a presidential candidate on another. Yeah, you can. You don't understand the way ESPN works. Now, white dude can't. That's right. I know. I helped to author it because the day when you or I could straddle both worlds is long gone. Boy, is that out of touch. Look, white dude, Seth Greenberg and I, commenting on a presidential debate, bad. Discipline called by ESPN, our bosses. Don't do that. Stephen A. Smith, black man, commenting on what they consider to be black issues in the presidential race. Good. ESPN want is living in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Basically, Olbermann's living in pre-George Floyd. ESPN is scared to death of the African-American employee. They're scared to death, these white dudes in Building 4, of having their pensions, their stock options. Norby Williamson, they are scared to death. Connor Shell, scared to death. The black guy is going to call him a racist. So this is long since gone, Keith Olbermann. So why is ESPN letting Stephen A. Smith do it? Because he's an African-American in the post-George Floyd era. Now, George Floyd or somebody said, George Floyd had as much, if not more, impact as Martin Luther King. I got to tell you, in terms of business, they ain't wrong. No, ain't wrong. I mean, ESPN, one of the biggest companies in the world, changed its entire policy on this for black guys. Now, white guys, hey, you're going to get fired eventually if you comment on this stuff. Everybody knows that. Conservative voices, even though she's African-American, half African-American, Sage Steele, you're going to get fired if you comment on these things. Why is ESPN letting Smith do it? Well, Keith, because we're in a post-George Floyd era. And if you don't, I can't help you. But that's the business. Why is he campaigning for Trump on Fox News? There's the real problem that Keith Olbermann has. He has no problem with Stephen A. Smith endorsing a political candidate. He has no problem with Stephen A. Smith being a sportscaster on one station and an advocate on the other. None, zero, zip. But nobody with any type of platform in our country or maybe across the world, and I hate to give Keith Olbermann that kind of suck, but nobody has bigger Trump derangement syndrome than Keith Olbermann. For example, I think if somehow, some way Trump ended up getting shot, I think the first person I would look at was you got to check Olbermann. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there. I do. I know there's a lot of people out there that would be on that list, but Olbermann's psychotic. He's completely insane. He doesn't care at all that Stephen A. Smith is endorsing a political candidate, presidential candidate. He cares that it's Trump, period. And if you don't believe that, you just simply haven't been paying attention. And here's what the left tries to do, particularly the crazy left. The young unmarried women in this world. Here, you can put that back up. I got to read the rest of it. Here's what they're trying to do in this world. They're trying to silence anybody that goes against der Fuhrer, Joe Biden. Anybody that goes against der Fuhrer, Joe Biden, and former president, and current weirdo, Barack Obama. Anybody that goes against him, they want to silence him. This doesn't have anything to do with whether or not Stephen A. Smith, and Olbermann knows it. Olbermann knows the world's changed since George Floyd. ESPN must make him choose advocating for a despot. See? If he was advocating for an idiot, a moron, an imbecile, a.k.a. Biden, he'd be fine. Or keeping his job saying nothing particularly relevant about sports, not both. And I'd insist on the same either if he were campaigning for Biden. Yeah, no, he wouldn't. Nah, please. Are you insane? No, he wouldn't. The left always wants to silence. The left wants to silence the mouths of anybody that isn't stepping in line with their incredible stupidity. That's what they want to do. Period. Why is ESPN letting him do it? Because Connor Shell, All the executives are scared to death of being called racist, being perceived as racist, having another book written about them where it even suggests that they squelch free speech among an African-American big-time employee. Doesn't even have to be a big-time employee. How much racist have we heard out of the fat guy, Kendrick Davis or Kendrick Perkins or Kendrick Lamar, whatever his fat ass name is? How much stupid have we heard out of Jay Williams? How much stupid have we heard out of Ryan Clark, L. Duncan? I mean, we've heard racist stupid left and right. Racist, real racist, not social justice racism, pure and unadulterated. Black people can't vote for Nikola Jokic, racist. You're a sellout if you do, racist. White people are racist if they vote for Nikola Jokic, racist. All things said by the big fat dumbass Kendrick Perkins. All of them. So, having said that, I answer your question. They're letting Smith do it because it's the post-George Floyd era, and that's what ESPN allows. Why is he campaigning for Trump? Because he's got a brain. Because he's not a moron. He sees where we're at as a country. He sees a wide open border. He sees our tax dollars going to Ukraine. He sees our other tax dollars going to illegal immigrants. He understands the game that's being played. Politicians getting fat with insider trading. No regulations on anything. Bidenomics? Go to the store. Really, the answer is go to the store. Why is he advocating? Why is he campaigning for Trump? Go to the store. See what lunch meat costs you. If you've ever been to the store previous, you have a baseline. You know it isn't in double-digit dollars. See what everything costs you. Bidenomics suck. We have a weak president that is Ron Burgundy. So there's your answer. That's why. Damn. Do we really have to explain? Of course we don't. Of course we don't. Keith Olbermann just wants to do what the folks on the left want to do, which is silence anybody that has any type of following from speaking against Der Fuhrer. And Der Fuhrer is freaking Joe Biden. They follow him. They march in line. He doesn't know where he's at, but I mean they march right behind that idiot. They do. They march behind him like it's their job. They repeat the same talking points day after day after day. Trump bad. Trump World War III. Trump threat to democracy. It's like everybody is just freaking blinded to this idiot. And it's sickening. It's disgusting. It is. Their guy. I mean, I've never seen it before. I've never seen the blind, we're going to say the same talking points like these idiots talk about Biden. Oh, World War III. Oh, threat to our democracy is at stake here. Shut up. Isn't that what leaders like? Isn't that leaders used to do? Scare people? Isn't that what the worst of the worst used to do? Scare people? Persecute people? My wife said this yesterday. She goes, I'd like to get involved. I'd like to protest something that I don't believe in, but could you imagine? Like, you protest January 6th, you're a grandmother, you might be in jail. You know, I've told this story many times. I was on a protest one time just because there was a hot girl in Dunn Meadow in Bloomington. Honest to God. Now you think, wait a second. And my wife made this point yesterday. Could they round us up like they used to back? All the great leaders used to, Mussolini, great leaders. All the dumbass criminal leaders used to do. They ain't great leaders. They're freaking criminals. I mean, honest to God, that's what we're seeing. It's a little bit scary. No, it's a lot of bit scary. And if you don't see it, I can't help you. So I just gave you the answer. We don't need a dictator around here. Obama pulling the strings on freaking Biden. We don't need it. We don't want it. There you go, Olbermann. I answered your question. I just did. I did. This is really funny. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about when you go back in time and you see idiots that just have blind faith to Mussolini, the Fuhrer, whoever. This is what I'm talking about right here. Watch this answer by this idiot on why she is protesting for pro-Palestine. Watch this blind faith, brainwashed dumbass. Watch this.
And what would you say is the main goal with tonight's protest?
I think the goal is just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stops. I honestly don't know all of what NYU's doing.
Is there something that NYU's doing?
I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they're... Do you know what NYU's doing? About what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here?
Palestine will be free!
I wish I was more educated. I'm not either.
Oh.
I came from Columbia. I was there up at Columbia, and we came down. They said NYU students needed our support. So I came down. I heard there's lots of cops. Some people were saying it was getting dangerous.
Just made my point. That's what I'm saying. The left just wants to get blind faith. Like the worst regimes in the history of the world. Just blind faith. We tell you, you must believe. These two idiots have no idea what they're doing. None. Zero. It's exactly what I just talked about. The worst regimes in the world, historically, want blind faith. Why are you here protesting? What's NYU doing? I really don't know. But we're protesting NYU. Why? And then you try to talk your way out of it with stupidity and a sincere look. It's unbelievable. I've always said this. In every way, if you stopped and asked people protesting, if you stopped and asked, they don't know. What's the problem with you, Columbia? What Columbia do wrong? Oh, what do NYU do wrong? I don't know. We just have blind faith. We just follow. We just follow like it's our job. It's like this. I said this years ago, and it blew up. New York Times picked it up. New York Post. It's like this. You remember when college athletes were mad about just getting a scholarship? So I said this. I said, I guarantee if a coach called in players and said, hey, man, what's your scholarship worth? Because players were saying they didn't get enough. None would know. Maybe 5%. And I had a bunch of coaches that did that, and they're like, Dan, it's so funny. Not one player knew what a scholarship was worth, but they're bitching, whining, and moaning because they were led down a path by people that they thought knew what they were talking about, but they didn't even know. It's the same thing with this. We're led down a path by an idiot regime. We're led down a path. We don't know why we're protesting. We just are. We just are. Okay. Hey, while we're on this, how about the double standard? There's a little bit of double standard here. Professor Scott Galloway talks about it.
And I do think there is a double standard. I walked by NYU last night. What I saw was peaceful protest. But I can tell you, if I went into the NYU square with a white hood on and said, lynch the blacks or burn the gays, my ID would be shut off by that night. And I would never work in academia again. There would be no need for the words context or nuance. I wouldn't be protected by terms like First Amendment or free speech. I would be out of the world of academia. It seems like we have a double standard when it comes to hate speech.
No, it really doesn't seem like it. It is. And we all know it.